Hello and welcome to this episode of Akrinos Access. I'm your host, Eric Matei, joined today by the one and only Nerdy Optometrist herself, Ukti Vora. And y'all, we've got a really cool episode in store today because we are diving deep into the world of technology. And we're actually, y'all, this is part one of a two-part series that Nerdy Optometrist is joining us here on Akrinos Access because we're really going to start to approach this stuff head on, right? So we're talking technology and optometry. In these next two episodes, we're going to be talking about all those things that, well, a lot of you may be afraid of: AI, tech, machines, robots, and we'll probably have some fun along the way as well. So for starters, Ukti, welcome to Akrinos Access. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey Eric, thank you so much for inviting and talking to me on my favorite topic, eye care and technology. So it's a pleasure to be here on Akrinos Access. Thank you so much.
So let's go ahead and kick things off. I know a lot of us around the industry have come to know and love you through your podcast, Nerdy Optometrist. You're involved in so many amazing things. You've won some incredible awards here over the years as well. Why don't you just start by sharing with our audience a little bit about your background, brief bio and your journey into optometry?
Yeah, I would love that. So my name is Ukti Vora. I am an Indian optometrist. I did my optometry from India. I used to practice there until I met with a beautiful accident of meeting my husband, because of which I moved to United States 9 years ago. Now every year I do an interview and I talk about like 1 year, 2 year, it's nine. So it's been a great journey from being a practicing optometrist back in India, coming to a foreign land and trying to find myself again. And that was a great opportunity where I had an option to go back to optometry school, get my license, or try something different. For good or for bad, I didn't get admission into an optometry school the first time when I was trying to do through NECO, their ASAP program. And I decided, why not try business? Because that's something that I did along with the practice in India, and I always was interested in it. So I got my MBA and I moved into the industry, and I started working with multiple startups and now with Topcon Healthcare in different roles, looking at eye care from a very different lens. So being a practitioner who knows, how things work every day in and out, to now thinking from business and industry, how we together can make a difference. So that's my journey from being an Indian optometrist to being part of the industry in a foreign land. And throughout this journey, I was trying to do something where I can connect and talk to people and share my learnings and learn from them as well. And that's what led to Nerdy Optometrist. So that's the podcast where I just love to interact with people, learn with them, and make beautiful connections within our industry.
Yes, outstanding stuff. And those of you out there, if you've yet to subscribe to Nerdy Optometrist, absolutely put it on your list. A lot of really great stuff. You may find yours truly on one of the recent episodes, but again, y'all, a lot of really amazing things. And Ukti, let's now kind of take this conversation into the context of what we're going to unpack here in these two episodes. We're talking about technology and optometry's future. So as we're jumping into this, maybe let's start. If you could just provide like a high level snapshot of the tech advances that are going on across eye care.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to actually start answering this question by addressing one big thing that I encountered 5 years ago. When I was first introduced with eye care and technology, I felt um, it was all something in the future. 20, 30 years from now, it's not happening. What are you talking about? And I had my own hesitations. And this is all pre-pandemic. So trust me, if you still have those hesitations, you're not alone. That's where even I started my journey in eye care and technology. Cut to 2025, I am in love with eye care and technology because now there is no going back. So there's been a lot of technology that were already being built pre-COVID or pre-2020, though they didn't have so much of use cases because people were still trying to understand, is it really worth it? What's the value, the investment, the innovation had its own pace in healthcare specifically. I don't feel as an industry we were there yet. COVID hits and we realized that there's so much of a requirement of adding technology in everyday use cases, because you had Amazon on which you would buy your things every single day, but you didn't think about an eye care or a healthcare service in that same notion. So I
Sure.
one good thing that came out of the pandemic was understanding the importance of technology in hand to improve our day-to-day healthcare services. And eye care is no different. So when we're talking about eye care specifically, there is technology, it's available in all domains, whether you're talking about digitalization through your EHRs, the way you communicate to your patients through like automated calls, messages, recalls, things that will help you engage with your patients, treatment plans as well, and giving you some tools that will help you better analyze using different AI algorithms. Wearables, smart wearables, it's not just about like smart watches, it's also about eyewear. And we're not just talking about like the Ray-Ban glasses that we are all aware about. Even contact lenses are getting smart, not just for like seeing things clearly, but for drug delivery, to able to monitor your glaucoma levels and your eye pressures at like a real life case, just how people check their glucose wearing those patches. Something similar can also be done through tears. So technology honestly in eye care is growing in every segment.
And I think to that end, to kind of now unpack this a little bit deeper, first and foremost, I got to say, I think it's really cool how you started by sharing that where you yourself were 5 years ago was a totally different frame of mind from where you are now, right? And I think it's important for our audience to embrace that and honor that, right? Like everyone's adopting technology at their own pace. But our goal in these next two episodes is that you can feel comfortable adopting it and making it part of the day to day. Because
Yes.
as you and I were speaking prior to going live with the recording here, Ukti, the change is happening. It's a matter of if individuals as doctors or in business, I mean, in any aspect of any industry these days, the technology is happening. It's happening very, very rapidly. Um, it's up to us as individuals to embrace it and adopt it, but it's important we also feel comfortable through that adoption. So with that
Yes.
kind of setting the stage for things, let's maybe now break it into chunks and maybe start by sharing some of the big tech advances in specifically in the clinic and patient care.
So if I have to break down in clinic and patient care, I feel I would look at this in two different sections. One is how does it make your practice more efficient and profitable? At the end of the day, we are always looking for efficiency, which can help with increasing your revenue. And when you're looking at patient care, you're not just looking at providing the best patient care clinically, but you're also looking at improving your experience. I think that is the key that will differentiate you from all the competitors. Because let's face it, we are not just competing with the clinic next door. We are competing with Amazon, we are competing with chains, we are competing with even Dr. Google and now ChatGPT, because that can answer all basic questions. How can you make your patient's experience better in both those scenarios is how I would look at, what technology should you adapt in your practice or for your patient care. Now talking about, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, keep going. I don't mean to. I think we had a slight time lag there. Um, because you're in California, I'm in New Orleans. That's a pretty long way for the internet to be cooperating with us during this episode. But I really like how you mentioned with regard to clinic and patient care that it's just as much about this experience that we're providing the patient as it is the nature of the care.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you talk about the practice, right? Like how do I make I one question that I hear the most when I hear like the practice and technology, we feel like, oh, I'm happy, my practice is doing great. Like why do I need to add technology? That comes from the fact you're not even aware how much time a technology can save you. And to give a very basic example of that, sometimes you have to write a message or an email. You can sit for 30 minutes and write it, or you can ask your AI assistant to give you 3 drafts, pick something and be done in like 10 minutes. You use that because you like convenience, you like efficiency. Why not translate that into your office or into your practice? So it's important to assess each part of your practice, whether it is, as simple as an intake form where you're collecting all the demographic information from your patient, seeing all your clinical information through a PACS or a digital health, platform that allows you to see all your clinical data on one screen, or even the treatment plan, providing access to your patients for aftercare. That way, all those things, instead of you trying to doing it manually, what about having options that can automate those processes? And there are solutions like Revolution EHR. Like a full disclaimer, I'm not doing any brand advertisement. I'm just sharing some companies that are out there. So please do your own research to see what best fits your practice. But I just want to let you know that companies are out there and they're providing these solutions for you to start adopting today. So when we talk about practice management, solutions like Revolution EHR or Weave that can help with patient engagement and making sure it gives reminders, it calls your patients, it helps with the recalls, those kind of tools are mandatory in my mind, because that is something that now the patients are expecting from us. It's not an option. It is bare minimum. If you don't have a good system where a patient can communicate with you, they might feel, oh, is this like an old school practice, right? So that's something that you want to keep up with. Solutions like
Right.
Forum or
Yeah.
Harmony. Sorry. Is there still a lag? I don't know. I hear you a little late every time.
I think we caught back up.
Oh, okay. I always
I
hear
got
your
you.
sound first and your lips later.
We'll have to do a slight edit there in the middle. Note to self.
Yeah. Yeah, and then talking about the for yourself as well is something that you need to think on. How can you save more time when you're seeing a patient? If you're spending 30 minutes with your patient, I think it's important for you to analyze how much real time are you spending with the patient versus time spent on documentation, making notes, going from one device to another device just to see what's in there. Solutions like Harmony from Topcon or like Forum from Zeiss or any other pack system that you're using can help collect all that data into one screen that can help you analyze it quickly, make better clinical decision, save time, and then spend more time in talking to the patient than just going from device to device and just not spending that quality time with that patient. And there are few studies and experiences from doctors who have said implementing these technologies can overall help them save at least 6 minutes per patient. That can translate technically to adding at least 2 to 3 patients per day, and then you can calculate the revenue that can come along with it. So that's on the practice side on how adding these technologies can help you. Talking on the patient side of care, of course they would like to see more of you, but if you had tools like a telehealth solution where they can remotely call you to ask you a question versus visit you, if there were tools like doctor contact lenses where they can order contact lenses, they trust your recommendation, they trust you, that way it's easy, it's convenient, it's right there, and that also helps you deepen your connection with that patient and you're not even worried about losing them.
It's fascinating that you were putting this in the context of, for starters, the benefits of the patient as being more than just the clinical care, but more of this holistic experience, and I guess we'll say maybe the stickiness with your practice, right? But also, you mentioned a really powerful word a few minutes ago that I want to bring back up, and that is mandatory, right? So sure, maybe there are some use cases of technology, AI performing a refraction, whatever the guy. We don't need to start getting into all this stuff. What's been validated and what is yet. Although I would love to get your take on it because I know you get to see a lot of cool things behind the scenes. But
Yeah.
the fact is this: while there's always going to be the next thing that's kind of on the horizon that everyone's a little like maybe spooked out by, there's also things that have become mandatory. So I really love how you mentioned there are some things that mandatory you must have. What would you say those are, Ukti? Like if you could just kind of go through a hot list of like, hey, things, doc, that you really need to look into tomorrow, if you're not already have these, what are some of these kind of mandatory solutions?
Definitely an EHR solution that helps you do more than just collecting patient information. So you need to look at solutions that can help you with a little bit about, say, image management, or even connecting to your patients through recalls and like sending them messages and interactions. So that's definitely one thing. The second is a clinical data management solution that allows you to see all your clinical data on one screen. I feel that's very important. It saves a lot of time, and it can also help you to do more of collaborative care. You just don't have to do it in like one clinic. You can see the same data in another clinic just through like one click and just logging into an application. I think that's second. Third would be having a solution that helps with your optical or your retail sales, whether it's whether it's doctor contact lenses, whether it is any plugin that can come along with your, say, uh, EHR systems, or an application that's provided by some other vendors, something that helps your business bring it in front of the patient. So you need to have that retail facing outlet as well. And the third, or the fourth last important thing, is some form of digital marketing. I think your digital presence in today's world, I think, is mandatory. You need to have some digital presence so that people can look at you, hear stories from your patients, can trust you a little more, and sometimes they just come to see you because they have seen you so many times on Instagram.
Sure. Yes. Yes. All really great stuff. And again, I love how you serve this up as far as, they're the technological breakthroughs and advancements with clinic care, on the clinic and patient care side, certainly with the realm of operations and workflows, how easy is it for our team to get through the work of the day, right? Uh,
Mhm.
and then the other piece also, looking at technology as it pertains to the marketing, that engagement, that digital presence and such. Um, really fascinating stuff through and through here. So Ukti, I'd like to now direct this into, if you can kind of like look from this 30,000 foot view, what does the fully digitized optometry workflow look like? In other words, for that listener out there who's like, you know what? I'm ready to go all in fully modernizing, technifying, digitizing my practice. What does the fully digitized optometry workflow look like?
Okay. So, well, I think this also has two separate solutions to it. One would be in person, and the other is hybrid. So, if I'm looking at an in person, full tech savvy setup, I would say the patient comes in, or even I would go a step further. The patient can fill in all the information even before coming to your clinic. So, all they have to tell you is like, this is me, check in, you're done. The next step would be if they can go into the pre-test room with all the robotic instruments that are available these days, where imaging and collecting information is less than a couple of minutes. I think that would be step two, to make sure you have good devices that actually can do multiple things in a single device. So you don't, there are devices that can do pressures, AR readings, they can do fundus imaging. So if you have a device that can do 4 tests in one, the patient doesn't have to keep moving their head from one device to the other. That eases up their experience. The third piece would be the refraction piece, where I know there are solutions where a doctor can be remote, the patient can be in the chair, and you can do a full refraction, or you have a person who is doing the refraction on site, or the doctor is doing the refraction on site. So make sure you also have a digital phoropter or solutions that can support both remote as well as on-site refraction. all that data, the clinical data and your refraction data you've collected, should be visible on one screen. I feel minimizing those clicks and navigating from different devices is very critical. So have some form of image management solution. So you are already seeing all the information in one screen. You can make better decisions. There are also some AI tools that can be incorporated in that same platform that can analyze and help grade for, say, diabetic retinopathy or even glaucoma. They can tell you the risk of it. That way you can use your AI assistant to, make some decisions in cases you're on fence. I would like, there are also some EHRs which support um, voice based scribing. So you don't have to turn around, show your back to the patient, and keep typing. You do your conversation with the patient, and that EHR will do all the note taking for you. I think that would be very critical to be able to have that human interaction. And then, as soon as the patient is done with the prescription, they should have two options. If they are someone who prefer to touch and feel the frame, great, they can go out and collect their frames or lenses. Otherwise, you should have a solution with virtual try-ons or contact lenses that can be delivered to their house. So that way they are already, comfortable to get opinions from their family and friends. They can just log in. They're not forced to make the decision in your clinic. Like, if you're ready right now, let's do it. If not, here's that link. Go home, get those virtual try-ons and order, and it will be shipped. So I think that would be like a full tech heavy, and this is a basic, I think this is a basic requirement. The advance would be having all those IPL treatments and myopia treatment clinics, but this is like bare minimum, making sure you are incorporating technology at every step.
I don't know where to start. I mean, that is absolutely, I hope listeners out there were taking note, but if not, don't fret. You can rewind and listen to that again. Ukti, that was really powerful. Again, stringing along this entire journey that we can, I think it's safe to say we can already see exactly what these plugins are at different stages, right? I mean,
Yes.
unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years, we've all seen this stuff come out and present to market, right? I mean, you were mentioning the EHRs. I mean, these amazing new EHRs out there. I mean, sure, there's the legacy systems as you referenced, and there's the new kids on the block like Bardi and iPegasus doing amazing things, right?
Yes.
You're talking about e-commerce solutions. You want to talk about going head to head with 1-800 contacts. You got Dr. Contact Lens in your practice. I mean, come on, right? Same thing with the optical. As a matter of fact, I'm writing an article right now for the Review of Optometric Business where I'm referencing the degree to which there's a couple of massive conglomerates that kind of own most of the supply chain here in the US, and kind of realizing like, well, okay, they got all these online opticals, all these ways they're competing for your patients to come purchase eyewear from them. Look, deploy a platform like Optify Online and get your optical right there, you know?
Yes.
So I love how you brought all this stuff to the forefront, right? So Ukti, this has been an amazing kickoff episode, right? Kind of the prelude to this two-parter where we are hanging out with Ukti Vora, Nerdy Optometrist, talking about all things technology in optometry. And this is our first episode, Technology in Optometry's Future. We're going to build on it in the next one regarding some, where Ukti's going to share some tips on what you can do in your practice. But before that, if folks would like to continue this conversation with you, how can they go about connecting with you, Ukti?
I am always looking to interact with people. So if you would like this episode, please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as Ukti Vora, or you can also send me an email at nerdyoptometrist@gmail.com. So whatever is easier for you, just shoot me a message, just say hi, and I would love to be in touch with you.
And then after that, y'all, after you've reached out to Ukti, definitely head on over to nerdyoptometrist.com. Be sure you subscribe. Again, a lot of really great episodes that Ukti has curated over the years. And Wow, what an episode. I can't wait for us to jump into the next one, jumping into sharing tips and such like that. But Ukti Vora, Nerdy Optometrist, thank you so much for joining us here on this episode of Akrinos Access for this conversation all around technology and optometry's future. For our viewers out there, if you want to learn more about modernizing your practice, right, really making the most of it, head on over to Akrinos.com. We got some amazing ways that we can help you out. As a matter of fact, a lot of these technologies that Ukti was referencing, I mean, these are tools that we're working with practices on every day to integrate into their practice to hit their goals. So, Ukti, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you on this next episode.
Likewise. Thank you so much again. Bye.